Okay, today is day 2 of the 7-day Halloween challenge. First, before I get into anything, yes, I am wearing different glasses. The nose pad on my usual glasses broke off, so I'm wearing my backup pair. Um, so yeah, so no, it's not a continuity error. I just kind of broke my old glasses. Um, but I should be wearing them again like in a few days. Okay, but for today's prompts, you will need some scraps of paper or patterned paper, but I like using scraps of paper for that technique. They'll be being used for a mosaic. So I find it easier if I have little tiny scraps. But if you have pattern paper or painted paper, you can just cut it up into smaller pieces, um, or just cut small shapes from it right away. Um, you'll need stamps and an ink pad or found objects and acrylic paint. Um, I'll probably be using some of the Halloween themed stamps that I got recently. Those were on clearance. But you can also use a stamp that you made. I've got stamps that I made just by like gluing foam shapes onto a sheet of foam. Um, you could use some interesting garbage, or you could use like a pre-inked date stamp, whatever. And you'll want stencils. Again, you can make your own or you can use found objects. Like I have used one of those things that you test what size ring you are. I've used one of those as a stencil, and that's pretty cool. You could also just cut something out of a sheet of paper and use that as a stencil, or cardboard. Cardboard's probably a bit more durable, or plastic from like packaging, like backing from clear stamps or something. Then you'll want paint. This time it doesn't really matter what the finish of the paint is because you're going to be painting over words, so the exact opposite of yesterday's, where we were writing on top of paint. We're now painting on top of writing, which I guess it's a type of hidden journaling, but more specific. And then you'll want a spray bottle filled with water. If you don't have a spray bottle, just using a wet paintbrush will work. And you'll want liquid ink. You could, if you have the liquid watercolors, or also known as watercolor ink, that'll work too, but it won't dry permanent. So that will be a thing to keep in mind. Other than that, let's get right on into it. I'm sorry, I'm tired. So the first prompt is to make a mosaic, and I'm just gluing down some scrap pieces of tracing paper that I had used to clean off my brayer when I was jelly printing. I cut them all into like rectangles and squares, and I'm just kind of gluing them a little close to each other. I'm not really making it look like anything in particular. I just wanted to do kind of an abstract thing. But if you wanted to, I've seen people make like animals or flowers out of like little square pieces or triangle pieces of paper and stuff, and it looks pretty cool. But yeah. And I wanted to use this one because I really liked the bright orange on it that I had used. I believe I used Craft Smart paint for those bright oranges, but I'm not sure. And I'm just gluing them down with matte medium with its tracing paper, so I did have some problems with it curling up a bit, but I haven't really found a better glue than matte medium for uh, getting tracing paper to like blend in, similar to how tissue paper does. But I also have problems sometimes with getting the tracing paper to stay glued down. Then I have to keep reapplying the matte medium. But if anybody has a better idea, feel free to mention it in the comments and maybe I'll try it. Um, but yeah, but honestly, this was probably the longest part of of today's challenge. So now the second prompt is to add 2 loops, and I'm using a kind of metallic green India ink. And the prompt after that is to paint over some words. So I'm just writing scared, afraid, and words like that. And then I'm painting over it with some green acrylic paint. And now the next prompt is to use a stamp. So I'm using a spiderweb stamp. It's a clear stamp, but I don't have an acrylic block, so I'm just using its backing. The prompt after that is to spray water and drip ink. You can use a paintbrush to apply the water. I just have an easier time using a spray bottle. I'm using like 2 shades of orange. One was just a bright orange, the other was metallic. The one after that is to make a pattern with arrows, and that is the last prompt, but I used an oil pastel for that. Oh wait, no, the prompt after that, I'm sorry. This is the last prompt. The prompt after making a pattern with arrows is to use a stencil, and I decided to use the fluorescent violet paint and a circular stencil. And then it looked like a face to me, so I used a water brush filled with black India ink to just add some details.